Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are going to be sewing the lining pockets. That's the lining slip pocket, the lining zipper pocket, and then also attaching the gusset for the lining. A couple of things I've done differently here to the instructions provided in the Acacia crossbody bag pattern are my lining pocket, lining slip pocket. Instead of cutting out two separate semicircles there, I've cut on the fold here instead. It doesn't matter if you've done it the other way. That's just personal preference, how I like to do it. For the zipper pocket, I've cut it as one continuous piece instead of two separate pieces, and you will see why I've done that when we are constructing the zipper pocket. And the other thing that I've done differently to the pattern is my zipper pocket facing, I've cut in interfacing instead of in lining fabric. And again, you will see why I've done it that way. I just do my zipper pockets in the linings a little bit differently. So I'm going to go ahead and start constructing all of the different pockets. First up, I'm going to be doing the slip pocket for the interior. So if you have two separate pieces here, you're going to take the two separate pieces and fold them to be right sides together, and then sew along the top, flip it out, and then top stitch. I have cut mine on the fold, and if you look at the pattern piece that you use for that, I won't show the whole piece, but it has this line here, and I've just used that as my fold line instead to account for the lack of seam allowance. The first thing that I'm going to do is top stitch along this pocket piece here. Then it gets placed on top of the lining there, and then secured around the exterior. And we also have to sew in our pen pocket. The pen pocket is important so that your slip pocket is not too floppy in there. So when I get over to the machine, you're going to see me top stitch along here. Then separate to that, this piece alone. Then lay it on top here. I'm going to baste around the edge. When I get down here, I'm going to sew up and then back down the same line and then around here on the other side. So if you want to, you can sew it with the back side up so that you can't see where you're sewing. Another option to mark out your line that I often do is grab a piece of double-sided tape, and I use that to mark where I'm going to be sewing. I'm just going to keep that out of the way of where I'm going to be top stitching this pocket. So just line that up against the ruler there, and then that will act as my guide when I do my pen pocket. Also up and down the same side of that. The other option is if you have like a friction marker or a fading fabric pen, you could mark it with that too. So let's head on over to the machine. What we're going to do now is sew on the zipper pocket facing. So what I like to do here is center my interfacing piece about an inch down from the top and centered here. Grab some double-sided tape, pop a little bit on the opposite corners there, flip it over, then using my ruler here, draw a line 2 inches from the top, and then align 3/8 of an inch above that line or below, depending on which way you're doing it from. So this is 2 inches from the top, and this is 1 5/8 of an inch from the top. Since this is a relatively narrow piece, I'm just going to draw a line 1.5 inches from the side on both sides, and that's going to create the box for your zipper pocket. Then I head over to the machine, sew around this box here, then we're going to come back over here and open up that box there. So let's head over to the machine and do that now. Here I use a construction stitch length of 2.4. You really want to try to get your corners exact, as it will make a nicer opening when you turn it. So if you need to hand crank it to get your corners exact, then I would go ahead and do that. Now what we're going to do is open up this pocket opening here. I like to grab my rotary cutter. You can draw a line too. I just like to carefully cut so that there's about, we can go a little deeper than that. So there's about 3/8 of an inch at the end there and the end here. And then very carefully snip into the corners, making sure you're close to, but not cutting through any of your stitches there. Okay, then we're going to turn that facing out. I should mention, if you're using interfacing for this, you want to have glue side up. So glue side facing up from your lining. The reason being that we're going to fold that through and then we're going to iron that down to make a nice neat opening. So turning that through, finger press it a little, roll that seam out nicely. I grab my seam roller, and then after I've rolled it and finger pressed it and seam rolled it, then I'm going to head over to the iron or the heat press, and I'm going to fuse that interfacing down to the back of my lining piece, and then that will give us a really nice opening there for our interior zipper pocket. I'm also going to, whilst I'm over there at the iron, sew on my tag. I use the zipper box here. If you put tags on, I line it up on my cutting mat and I use that to center it, and I'm just going to sew mine on under there before I install my pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll put the pocket in. The next step here is to put our zipper pocket into our lining. As you can see, after having fused that interfacing on the back, I have a nice, neat pocket opening there. What we're going to do is sew the top here and then fold that up, and so the bottom there, so that you have your zipper attached at either end. If you've cut your pocket as 2 separate pieces, that's totally fine. You would just sew one side and the other side separately, and yours would already be open. I'm going to open my bottom of the pocket to turn the bag after I've already sewn the interior together. So the way I like to insert my pockets is I grab some of this double-sided tape, my best friend, run a strip along the bottom here and a strip along the top there. I'm going to go and sew here and there, and then I will tape that onto there and then sew around the book. So let me show you how I do that. So now I've got my zipper attached to my pocket lining, my opening here with the double-sided tape on the back. I'm going to peel that tape off, both sides, and then take my pocket lining, looking at my opening, centering that up, and then centering the opening over the zipper here. The zipper pull is out here for now. That will allow us to get a nice neat box, and we will slide that back up here as we get around. So what we're going to do here is we're going to sew along the bottom, back stitching at either end with the pocket flipped up like this. So we're just going to be sewing through the zipper tape, this part of the lining, this part of the pocket lining, and then this side of the lining there. Starting here, stopping here, then we're going to flip that back down. So it'll be back positioned like this. Starting at the closed end of the zipper, we're going to back stitch, sew up, sew along to about here. Then we're going to take our zipper. We're going to slide it back through here, past where our where our stitching has been paused. And then we're going to continue stitching along here and back down this side. So you'll end up with a rectangle, but it's done in 2 separate parts. And then that will attach your zipper all the way around. Then what I'm going to do is fold the side in and sew down here, fold the side in, sew down here, making sure to back stitch at both ends. Sometimes I put a couple of extra stitches over the zipper too, making sure again that your pull is on the inside here. This end of the zipper will be open, so you can just manually keep that together. Then when we come back over here, we're going to open up the bottom of our pocket, and then you will have your lining pocket done. So I'm going to head over to the machine and do that now. So now we have our 3 pieces of the lining completed. We have our gusset piece, our slip pocket, and our zipper pocket. So before we sew these together, I'm just going to go through and just cut off the ends of these zippers This is a rotary cutter that I use specifically not for cutting fabric. You won't want to cut through a zipper with your regular rotary cutter because you will dull your blade. The other thing that I'm going to do is open up the bottom of this pocket here, which, as you can see, it's long right now, but when we turn the bag through that pocket, we'll fold part of that inside to use it for our bottom pocket seam. So it's okay that it's a little bit long right now. So just cut that open without cutting through your stitches. I like to just, I'll use this one even though it's pretty blunt. Cut up there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just don't cut through your stitches. You just want to cut the opening in the bottom there. You also want to make sure that your zipper is open, and then any of these threads here you can burn or pull them through to the back. Then what we're going to do is snip the gusset the same way as we did for the exterior. Triangle, triangle, and then snip in within the seam allowance about 2/3 of the way up so that we can go around that curve nicely. Mark the center on these also by snipping a little corner. Trim any threads. Then I'm going to go around and clip one side, sew, clip the other side, sew, and then that will be our lining done, and the only thing left will be to create the exterior of the bag and then attach the hardware to our strap. We are getting there. When I'm attaching the second side of the gusset, I like to keep this side clipped well out of the way so you don't accidentally catch it in any of your stitching. And then sew gusset side down just to help with the feeding. The feed dogs on the bottom of the machine will help feed that through. We have now our lining with the pockets all done, our exterior done, and then our straps. So we're getting through these pieces. What we're going to do tomorrow is put the exterior inside the lining, join them together, turn it through the hole, top stitch, finish our strap, and then we'll be done. So we'll get that done. Thanks, everyone.